This load was a total pain in the ass. All these damn chains I had to whip out for this load. That was yesterday when I loaded it. I sweated my ass off. I had to take all these chains out, and these goddamn reels are so short that my ratchet binders were too big to fit in there. And anybody who hauls shit like this on the regular and is thinking, dude, you could have just done this or whatever. Look, man, that's the first time I've ever hauled cable reels that were that fucking small. All right, I've hauled plenty of cable reels, but usually they're 6 feet tall or 4 feet tall or something like that. And I've never hauled a load that was like 30 little 24-inch reels before. So I just did the best I could, all right? Be quiet, dog. But anyways, the reason I'm making another video, about this automated truck thing, and the reason why is because I read a comment that a guy put up who said, obviously you guys have never read up on the subject because they're going to have co-pilots in these trucks. And that's a great point. And I completely forgot about that. I remember seeing, like, a couple of years ago, like, one of the first automated truck concepts that came out was a video of, it was a dude driving a truck, and then he's driving straight down the highway, and then he puts it in, boop, autopilot mode, and then he grabs a tablet off the dashboard and swivels his seat around, so he's sitting like this, and he's like checking diagnostics on the truck and stuff like that. And there's like an announcer saying, you know, while the truck is in autopilot mode, the driver can go into the sleeper, or do this, or do that, or, you know, be a lazy asshole. And then the truck, you know, in this video that they show, and this is like a real video, I think. Because I think this is a video of, like, the automated truck that Mercedes came out with that they use in the UK or whatever. I think it's the Mercedes one. But the truck alerts the guy, the driver, or the co-pilot. He's not really a driver. It alerts him, it gives him like a 20-second warning, like, driver must regain control or retake control in 20, 19, 18. It starts counting down. And so the driver puts the tablet back, gets back into his seat, puts his seatbelt on, and, you know, grabs the wheel, and oh, he's got control, and he's driving the truck again. So that's a great point. I completely forgot about the whole, it's not going to be fully automated. It's actually going to be, like, it's going to be autopiloted with a co-pilot. Okay, I want to go in on this. Because, I mean, still, even if there's a driver in the truck, this is my point. It still doesn't make sense to me. Because the way I look at it is, it's all about money. That's the main driving force behind innovation is necessity and cost, or a combination of the two. So the whole idea behind automated trucks is just that they're going to be cheaper to run because you don't have to pay the drivers. Okay, if you still have to have someone in the truck, I'm guessing the idea is that, well, we won't have to pay the drivers as much because the truck drives itself some of the time, or most of the time. That's got to be the logic, is that it will be that's how we'll save money, is we'll buy these trucks and then the drivers won't have to work as hard or some shit like that. I'm thinking that's the logic. Okay, the cost. Let's start out on cost here. I mean, first of all, these trucks are going to be more expensive than your standard tractor, right? So, 2017 International Pro Star. back that was made in 2016 and went on sale. It was a 2017 model, went on sale 2016, right? In the long wheelbase flatbed package, you know, with a couple extra add-ons, headache rack, stuff like that, in the neighborhood of about $140,000 for International Pro Star. Sleeper, mid-roof, Cummins engine, all that shit, 10-speed, about 140 grand. And then the prices go up, but this is a brand new truck we're talking about. The prices go up and down depending on wheelbase, options, so on and so forth, right? So, this truck, this automated truck, if I had to guess, I think it would probably cost in the maybe $200,000 to $300,000 range, maybe more. Because I'm thinking, you know, some of your really, really nice trucks, your like super spec'd out trucks, you're talking $180,000 to $200,000 or more, depending on the options. But this thing, you know, it's going to have this array of sensors, it's going to have these supercomputers and all this crazy technology and shit like that. Let's say they cost about $200,000 a piece. For a mega carrier company that's used to going out and buying $120,000 Cascadias, you know, brand new. So instead of just going out and buying their $120,000 Cascadias, they're going out and spending an extra $80,000 per truck. So you're talking about a company with 1,000 trucks. What is that, $8 million? Something like that? About $8 million. So, and that's just, you know, that's every truck in the fleet. That's if you were to replace every truck in the fleet. Every truck you buy, it's an additional $80,000. So, just for argument's sake, let's say if a company wants to invest in one of these automated trucks, right? So they've invested $200,000 into the truck. So basically, for them to justify the extra cost of that $80,000, they're going to have at least $80,000 in savings over the life of the truck. Not to mention, like, how long is it going to take for them to get their $80,000 worth out of the operation of that truck before it starts saving them money on the back end? Because you got to keep in mind, most trucks in the industry that come in and out of these carriers, even medium-sized or small fleets, like, you know, new trucks that are bought, they're only kept in rotation for 3 to 4 years before they're sold or auctioned. And then they go into the used market. You know, big companies like this, they're not interested in keeping trucks longer than 3 or 4 years. They don't want to deal with the issues. They're not looking to do overhauls and shit like... I mean, I know it's different with smaller fleets and stuff like that that'll run trucks for longer, but, you know, the big companies... A lot of companies, 250 to 350,000 miles, they're getting these trucks, cleaning them up and getting them out the door. They're pulling their decals off and they're selling to some bitches, right? So within a matter of 3 to 4 years, sometimes shorter, depending on the company, that you've got to get your $80,000 worth out of that truck and then save more money, right? And how are you planning on doing that? Is that by paying these co-pilots, the guys you stick in the truck, you're going to pay them less? Well, since the truck is driving some of the miles, you're going to get paid less per mile, but you don't have to work as hard. Okay, let me get this straight. Let's say from a van point of view, forget that I'm a flatbed driver, right? Let's say as a van driver, I've got to do 90% of the work. I've got to do all the hard, you know, parts of the job, the parts of the job that require skill or labor and stuff like that. You know, I've got to fill out the paperwork. I've got to manage the time, manage my loads. You know, I've got to deal with shippers and receivers. I've got to deal with backing into docks and finding a place to sleep and all the normal bullshit that I got to deal with as a truck driver. But I don't have to do the easiest part of the job anymore. I don't have to just sit there and listen to a fucking podcast and hold the wheel and stare forward. All the other shit I got to do because the computer can't do it. But so I'm going to get paid less because now I don't have to do the easiest part of the job anymore. Is that what you're saying? Well, look, dude, you got to understand. Now, when you're cruising down the highway, instead of sitting there for 4 hours and, you know, just looking through the windshield, the computer could take over and you could jump in the sleeper berth and hang out. Okay, but unless something happens, and then I've got to jump back. I've got to drop what I'm doing back there and spring up here, especially if something happens out of the blue. Okay, so I don't understand. What if I don't have a 20-second... What does the truck do if something happens within 3 seconds? And I don't have time to jump up here and get in a position to put my seatbelt on. What happens? So I'm going to be walking around and hanging out in a moving truck with no seatbelt on. Right? I just... You see, I'm trying to understand the logic behind it. Even with a person in the truck. You still got to... You still got to know how to back, unless the computer's going to handle that too. You know, and my point is, the more that you can have these trucks do, the more they're going to cost. Like, for instance, you have a truck that if they figure out how to make a truck back itself, then the trailer's going to have sensors. It's going to have to be wired up and have a whole bunch of sensors, and it's going to have to have programming. That's all going to have to be programmed in for it to learn how to back. You know, and then there's going to have to be a manual override. So I'm not even talking about that. I'm still going to have to know how to back the truck and maneuver the truck. I'm still going to be fueling the truck, flatbed. I'm still going to be securing loads. You know, I'm going to be doing all the hard parts of the job, but the computer takes care of the easiest part of the job, which is just hanging out and driving in a straight line. You know, the way I look at that is, if I'm the driver and they're like, well, look, this is automated truck. I mean, you'll get 8 cents per mile less or 10 cents per mile less, but you don't have to work near as hard. Look, you can even go off duty when the truck is driving. I mean, yeah, but I've still got to know how to do the job. You know, or I could go over here and make more money and just drive the truck and just do the job that I already know how to do. So I think I'd rather go work over there, you know, rather than, you know, well, I guess I'll go hang out in the sleeper and watch TV and just let the computer run the truck and just trust the computer's going to do the right thing. I don't understand, you know, I mean, it's just weird to me. I don't, you know, how much less do you got to pay your driver to recoup that $80,000 number we were talking about earlier? What if it's $100,000 or $120,000? How much less do you got to pay your driver? And you got to understand, with that whole free market economy thing, you start telling dudes like, well, I mean, we'll pay you 27 cents a mile. It's like, well, I have experience. I'm not going to run for 27 cents a mile. Oh, but it's an automated truck. It's really cool. Yeah, no, that sounds like shit. I mean, even if it's like when the truck is the computer's driving the truck and it goes into autopilot mode, you can go off duty in the sleeper and you could stretch your hours even longer. You can get so many more hours out of a day or whatever. It's like, okay, well, the 14-hour clock's still going to be ticking, so that doesn't mean a whole lot. You know, so not to mention, that just means now I have to work more for less money. That's the fucking opposite of what I want to do. I want to work less for more fucking money. You know? That's one of the things I like about flatbed. You know? Sure, we've got to do all that fucking labor on the loads and stuff like that, but you know, making better money off of the loads, mileage, you know, I make percentage, but mileage, however you get paid, I don't have to knock down as many miles to make the same amount of money as like a van guy would. No, he's not having to work as hard on the load, but at the same time, he's got to churn out quite a bit more miles to break even with what I'm making. It's one of the things I kind of like about flatbed. You can get a really good rate on a load and not have to work all that hard and make some decent money. It's not always like that, but, you know, it tends to be that way a lot of the time. You know, I'm not driving reefer for, you know, a lot of these companies, they don't pay reefer all that well for company. They don't pay company drivers that great for reefer, depending on where you work, because these guys, they churn out so many fucking miles. you get so many miles running National Reefer that they can get away with paying dudes like 36 cents a mile or 32 cents a mile or some shit like that. And the dudes will still make decent cash because they're fucking driving 4,000 miles a week. You know? But that's a lot of fucking driving. You know, that's a lot of work, but, you know, you got to work more to make the same amount of money. That's, you know, you see what I'm saying? But not, you know, hating on reefer or anything like that. But look, I mean, this is my point, you know? I mean, even if you have a person in the truck, you still have to have a trained driver who has to go through all the same training, who still has to have a CDL and a medical card and know how to do the job. So I don't understand. I don't really know how you're going to get away with paying that guy less. You know, I mean, unless you're getting a whole bunch of rookie drivers in and think, well, we don't have to train them as much. That doesn't even make sense. Just think back on what I just fucking said. The truck is not going to be dealing with shippers and receivers, picking up or dropping trailers. It's not going to be backing into docks. It's not going to be counting the fucking load. You know, counting for overages. It's not going to be, you know, checking bill of lading. It's not going to be securing the loads. It's not going to be backing. It's not going to be fueling. It's not going to be doing any of this shit. All that autopilot can do is driving a straight fucking line down the highway. That's it. I still have to know how to do everything else that the job entails. But the only part I don't have to do, the computer does, is the part that requires no fucking skill. You know, the part that I could grab a fucking 12-year-old who's never even driven a car, and I could stick him here and have him drive in a straight line and say, hey, don't touch anything. I set the cruise, you don't need to shift gears, you don't do nothing. Just keep it between the lines, that's it. 12-year-old could do that. You're going to spend another $80,000 to $100,000 or how much ever it is on a truck just so it can do something like a child could do? Just some kid who's just keeping it between the lines. You know? But you still have to have a skilled driver to perform all the other functions of the job. What are you going to tell that guy? What are you going to tell a driver like me or another driver that's been driving for 2-3 years or 4 years or however long they've been driving? They come in and they're like, yeah, how much are you guys paying? Oh, we're paying 35 cents a mile. Whoa, 35 cents a mile? When did that happen? Oh, we switched to new automated trucks now, so you don't have to work as hard. Well, what do these automated trucks do? Oh, well, when you're driving in a straight line, they drive the truck for you. Do they do everything? Do they back? And do I have to do anything, or just hang out in the truck and... Oh, no, you still have to do everything else. But you don't have to drive in a straight line anymore. Yeah, no, I ain't taking... Fuck that. That's stupid, right? Maybe there's a perspective that I'm missing here. Maybe there's just something I'm not getting. Right? I mean, if so, if there's just a part of it that I have missed and I'm not understanding, throw it in the fucking comments. I was gonna see this comment that spurred on this video. I was gonna respond to him. You know, kind of sort of saying what I was saying. Like, that's a great point, you know, but thus, therefore, so on and so forth. I said, you know, I'll just make a fucking video about it, you know, about all this. You know, the same things kind of stand. So, you know, I mean, even in like the last video, like, okay, say you'll never get a truck that completely drives itself. Maybe in 200 years from now, if we're all still here. You know, but the one they're gonna have co-pilots in them. You know, I don't know. It's just he's still responsible for what the truck. So now like that goes back to that accountability thing that I was talking about. Now he's responsible for the whole truck, the trailer, the load, what happens with the truck. He's responsible for the whole operation of the vehicle, but he's going to be turning over control of it to a computer, is what you're saying. That's you see how this doesn't sell very well to somebody? You know, like, oh, I mean, if something goes wrong, you're still to blame. It's completely your fucking... You're still... All the rules are the same. If there's an accident, it's completely your fault and it goes on your record. Same thing. But, you know, you can turn control over to the computer. How are you going to sell that to anyone? How is anyone going to accept that? You know? God forbid, like I said, the computer fucks up. $10 million lawsuit. You know, so... You know, this... If you cause a fucking death in this truck, you gotta your career's over. You never drive a truck again. You know, if and when you get out of prison after killing people in an accident, you'll be lucky to ever drive again and hold a passenger driver's license your entire life. You know what I'm saying? What are you gonna do? Well, it was the computer was driving. You know, how are you gonna? Do I get to sign a contract that says if something happens while the computer's driving, I'm not at fault? Is that? You see what I'm saying? Because if not, who the fuck's gonna want to drive one? Oh, no. They've gone through extensive testing. Okay, here you go. Here's the dice. Go ahead and roll them. Good luck. No, you're still to blame. No. You're no. I mean, don't get us wrong. You know, I mean, if something still goes wrong, you're to blame. But nothing will go wrong. Don't worry. I ain't much of a gambler. You know what I'm saying? Fuck that. So, I mean, I just don't know how else to look at it. Fucking co-pilot. You know, it's just the whole concept. You know what? When you take the whole automated truck thing, like it's a computerized self-driving truck, but I mean, it still has a co-pilot, you know, overseeing operations. It just seems like you want it to happen, and it sounds great as a concept, and maybe shippers are really into it, and mega carriers are really into it. They really like the idea because they really think it could bring down costs. But that's all it is, and that's all it may ever be. Maybe it's just a concept. Like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if that happened? Oh well. You know, there's certain things that would just be really cool if they happened, but we just haven't gotten around to figure them out yet, right? Like having the machine where you put in a little cube and you press a button and a whole meal comes out. Haven't figured that out, have we? You know, can't solve world hunger yet. Maybe one day. It's a cool idea, though. This is what the concept of self-driving trucks seems to be. It just seems like, wow, wouldn't that be really cool? You know? But, I don't know. It just seems kind of stupid to me. I mean, maybe they got some new articles on it where I can go back and read them, you know, go read about this Mercedes truck. You know, but I remember when I saw that ad, I think I saw that ad before I had even started driving a truck. I think it was like maybe a year or two before or a while before I ever even thought about getting a CDL. I was like, oh, look at that, that's interesting. You know, oh well. You know, and then now that I know how to drive a truck, it's like it's stupid. I'm sure it's up on YouTube. You could probably go find it. Mercedes self-driving truck where it's got the little promo with the guy who's looking at the tablet and he's looking. You can monitor diagnostics and readings from the truck while it drives itself. Like, I could do that now while I'm driving the truck. I just need to get fuel in about 2 hours or so. I gotta get DEF too. Fucking stupid. I mean, what else are you going to have on this tablet? So we say, I mean, oil temperature's running 2 degrees hotter than it was this same time yesterday. It's interesting. Oh, look at these graphs, you know? Fuck. You really give a fuck about that shit. I don't know. The reason I'm talking about mega carriers is if they were able to put this shit on the road, you're not having owner-operators driving them. Or, buying them. You know, why buy an automated truck when you go out and buy a super sleeper for the same amount of money and, you know, live in style? You know? That's even if you were not against the idea of an automated truck like most of these guys are against anyway. But I don't want to beat a dead horse into the ground. This video's gone long enough. Good comment, dude. Good comment. Probably just trying to make us all look like dumbasses, and you may have succeeded, but still, good comment. Tell me what you guys think. Talk to you later.